So the planning process for E3B goes back about 4 or 5 months when we have an order come out, and 423 Infantry was tasked with building and running the weapons lane for E3B, which is just 1/3 parts of the E3B separate tasks. Roughly about 100 to 150 people per lane are your backside support and your graders, just depending on your lane's ability for throughput. For instance, I have a total of 100 with 33 graders and X amount to fill in as backside support to run logistics, run weapons, clean weapons, fix them, such things like that.
So far, we're doing pretty well, actually. Everybody's been out here training pretty hard. Generally, you're gonna get like a 15% total pass rate. So right now, we're probably sitting higher than that at around 20, 25. That's gonna get shortened down over the next couple days, but we're sitting good right now. Everybody's been training hard.
We're now on the second day of testing. We took themselves seriously, took this seriously during the train up. It definitely pays off during test week. It is interesting though, because at a first glance, you see it in someone whether or not they're ready to take on a lane or a task. This was a larger effort, brigade-wide, and it took every company had to play a part within our battalion at least in order to get these lanes set up.
So 30 station NCOICs are individually responsible for building their own stations. For every individual station that is out here, whether it's patrol lanes or weapons or medical, those guys are tasked to build their station from ground up.
Yes, so we had a tremendous amount of backside support that we had to task out for those not necessarily competing for their ESB or EIB.
I think it's very hard to build something from scratch, even in just theory. You could put forth a plan of what that would look like, but establishing it and letting it run through, knowing full well there's going to be 800 to 1,000 candidates rolling through. I think those guys are crucially responsible, and I think that is something that's a little bit of an overview. It's an amazing task, and at the end of the day, these guys push it through and create wonderful stations for close to 1,000 candidates to run through.
So first day is the EPFA, so it's a physical fitness test.
First, we ran a mile in our LTV, gloves, and ACH. And then from there, we did 30 dead-end push-ups. And then from there, we sprinted 100 meters to the LMTVs. And then we carried 16 sandbags to the LMTV. Once we completed that, we carried 40-pound water cans, about 50 meters. And then from there, we high crawled another 25 meters. And then from there, we did 3 to 5 second rush for 25 meters, and then completed it off with another mile.
Well, if you're competing for your EIB, you have to finish the test in 27 minutes, 30 seconds. And if you're competing for ESB, it's half an hour flat.
It's pretty taxing, but the same majority of people have it down.
After they're completed with the PT test, if they're a go, they'll end up getting on a bus, and then they'll go complete their land nav portion for the day. And then they'll do night land nav, and if they make it through that, then they'll start their actual testing lanes starting tomorrow.
The course today for what we usually train on is a pretty difficult course given the map's age, but it's honestly a good course. I believe that we're working with 4.5 grid squares of area, so about 2K by 2K. The most difficult thing about the land nav course is just the terrain and the time limit. I know when I went through EIB, the time limit really got to me. I utilized every second that I could.
You know, creating experts in the Army is very important to not only the infantry, but every MLS, because that establishes that cornerstone of knowledge, that creativeness, and that confidence in leaders, whether they're private to specialist, you know, a sergeant to a sergeant major, or lieutenant up to, you know, a general. That cornerstone of being an expert in these 30 tasks and having the endurance to go all the way through the train up and the testing of all the tasks really shows a level of leadership that needs to have in the Army and also a level of confidence that establishes amongst leaders.
Yeah, it's neat to see both American and Republic of Korea forces out here completing the lanes.
Yeah, I say that's one of the coolest things about being in Korea is being able to work with our counterparts. We have a lot to learn from them as they have a lot to learn from us as well.
저번 주부터 트레인업을 시작했고 이번 주부터는 평가를 시작하고 있고 지금 메디컬 레인을 클리어하고 지금 페트롤 라인에서 레인지 카드 작성 후 지금 화생방 상황을 준비하고 있습니다. 짧은 2주 기간 동안 많은 걸 배우고 이제 미군들과 같이 뒹굴면서 열심히 했던 게 너무 기억에 남고
방금 20km 행군 끝내고 들어왔습니다. 가장 힘들었던 거는 원랩 돌자마자 이제 다리 근육 경련이 일어나가지고 마지막 한 바퀴 도는 게 제일 힘들었습니다. 지금 기분은 굉장히 좋고 모든 미군, 한국군 같이 합격의 이 기쁨을 누릴 수 있어서 너무 좋습니다.
At the end of the day, it's all worth it in the end for both our experiences and supporting South Korea and United States efforts.